good. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Capo Daniel for the No Connie Talk Show. So today I'm in Abuja, Nigeria. I've met a lot of people, talked to the Southern Cameroon population who are in Nigeria. And today I'm having a very special guest, one of the advocates, the common law lawyers of Southern Cameroon, Barrister Nukuna. So we are going to have some conversation, an in-depth conversation regarding the situation and the challenges faced by our population in Nigeria during this period where the people of Southern Cameroon are advocating for their right of self-determination. Good morning, bro.
Good morning, sir. You're welcome.
Yeah, so you are one of the icons for a lot of people of my generation, the post-colonial generation, the millennials. When we saw you holding the flag of the common law lawyers marching down the street from Bamenda, and you delivering a speech in Bamenda with the journalists and everything like that, for a lot of us it was very inspiring because we can identify this is the person I was going to school, and a lot of people identify with that struggle. What was that feeling coming down that Bamenda station?
Well, thank you very much for this privilege. It's actually a privilege, one of it, but as a feeling, as a person, my days back in school, particularly when I was reading my master's degree in a course, legal writing, my lecturer made us understand that lawyers are not the most intelligent people on planet, but they are the wisest because they know what is necessary and where to take what is necessary at that particular time. Now, the euphoria of the honeymoon at that particular time was based on the social legal understanding of the scope of what is meant by Southern Cameroons. Yeah. Now, the social legal concept is different just from the historical, cultural concept of it. Now, as a lawyer, what do you want your people? We are like, the Bible says Jesus is the chief advocate. Yeah. And lawyers are the advocates, which means that what you need to speak the truth and shame the devil at any time.
Yeah.
So you are not supposed to be scared when you are speaking the truth. So for us who carry the banners preaching common law at that particular time, we thought as it is and would always be that was the best thing to do, away from what we call civil law domination in Northwest and Southwest. As of then. Yeah. Now, it was as if we wanted to reintroduce the concept of common law, which was originally what we were practicing, though somehow swallowed by the civil law system, which is dominantly French law.
Yeah. So even as an English-speaking somebody who considered himself as a Cameroonian at that time, we had faced a lot of issue with marginalization in terms of public services and stuff like that. But that moment captured a lot of what we have been going through in that country. Because when we saw the common law lawyers coming out, speaking up not only for the common law lawyers, but for the entire segment of the English-speaking people of Cameroon, coming out holding the banners, we need common law. It was like you said, like introducing something that we already had. We have been a system where everything that comes from us is like you have to fight hard, fight double hard for it. So I want you to try to explain what brought you guys, the common law lawyers. We all know the cases. What was the main motivation for that march?
Thank you very much. Lawyers are the voice of the voiceless, as I already said. As a voice of the voiceless, you find it that the masses, those you are lawyers for, those you are advocating for, they are going through a lot of crises. For instance, before that, one of the things which actually triggered that particular march was the fact that while in the Bamenda Court of Appeal, other appeal courts in the English subsystem, lawyers were being forced to speak in French or submit in French in a common law jurisdiction where your clients are basically Anglophones. They may not understand, they need to understand English properly, talk less of speaking in French.
Yeah.
And now as a lawyer, I'm not doing a case for myself. I'm doing a case for a client. And the client, it is his constitutional right to understand what we are saying. If not, you bring an interpreter.
Yeah.
Now, how would you expect somebody in a court which is in the sitting of an English city to proceed in French? It is a no-go area. And then, immediately after that, preceding that, the common law lawyers came together. They wrote to the president. They sent memos. All these were received. Some of them sent through DHL. But at the end, these issues were still not resolved. We then thought that it was high time for the common law lawyers to move out as one man, with one force, to now let the general public understand that the fight we were fighting was not just for the lawyers, but was for the general public. And as such, the general public should understand when we say we are on strike, as we did at first sight for 4 days, and secondly, we went for a month, the Minister of Justice said, yes, they are not paid.
They are not paid. They will get tired.
So when they will get tired and hungry,
they will come back.
They will come back to work.
Yeah.
That is what actually pushed the lawyers almost to the wall. And now, as a client, our clients were so furious. They have their cases in court. They cannot be litigated upon. Yeah. What would they do? They had to join the lawyers.
Yeah.
Because we are the voice of the voiceless, so that their voice can be heard.
Yes. Were you surprised with the? Because I know we have been in this country, given our history, there have been nationalist movements that have existed. The SCNC, you have the SCYL, the AGC, and there were a lot of, even the Maurice that was in the making in the United States of America. There was this consciousness already about the solution proposed by the nationalist movement for an independent Southern Cameroon. Were you guys conscious of this this advocacy by the national movement when you were contemplating how to address this issue? Or like the Minister of Communication, Issa Chiruma of French Cameroon, said that you guys already had a hidden agenda and you were already advocating for what they would call cessation. So did you guys had a hidden agenda while you were doing all those things? All along you guys wanted us to separate?
Well, thank you. That's a wonderful question. When lawyers came together to tackle common areas of difficulties, we didn't premeditate secession. You understand? We didn't premeditate secession. What we wanted was the respect of the common law and the English of subsistence, both of education and of the legal field.
So there was no conspiracy?
There was no conspiracy.
Yeah.
And as such, other groups I learned only after the crisis became a revolution.
Yeah.
What do I mean? I knew of NCNC. But other groups like SCAPO, SYL, we only learned of them
after
groups which came up immediately preceding the immediate cause of the revolution, which was a march by lawyers downtown Bamenda, and Boya, which met a very stiff resistance. The beating of lawyers, harassment of lawyers. I mean, that was one of its kind. I mean, the world had never heard of lawyers being beaten on the street, advocating for their own rights.
Yeah. Were you surprised? Were you surprised with the brutality that for just expressing a common, something that is very popular for an entire segment of the population, the entire Southern Cameroon, who have been going through marginalization, some will say even annexation, and they were aggrieved. There were people singing songs of "We Don't Feel Belonging," and you guys, were you surprised with the brutality of the French Cameroon police and the reaction of Paul Biya by unleashing his guys?
Well, at that point in time, it was a colossal, a caricature. That is a homunculus and unfair price to a people who has a history, who are out just to say the truth and nothing but the truth. Now it comes to a word somebody will say, when the hope operatively hobnobs with the hope cobbling. This is what we get. Yes, this is what we get.
Yeah.
When you move yourself closer to a devil, you expect the repercussions, or you expect somebody to call you a devil.
Yeah.
We have been with like Bobby de Cameroon, no doubt.
Yeah.
And their attitude as of brutality, it's just one of such. And we knew that moving out, we were not escaping their traps.
Yeah.
We knew that speaking the truth, one should speak the truth and fair for the truth.
Yeah.
So we knew at one point it might be, it might not be. There may be gentlemen amongst them. Conversant with the introduction of the common law, the way Barrister Boga, after his speech in Bamenda, City Chemist ran about in Bamenda,
Yeah.
he addressed them as a gentleman police and gendarme behaving as those of Britain. And the brutality came thereafter, though we were just trying to say, okay, fine, you give him a good name
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
How it goes.
Yeah, so we knew they would likely do their worst.
Yeah, a lot of us watched your speech that you delivered through. I think you were talking to the press, and you delivered a very powerful speech. Being a young lawyer, a vibrant person as you are, it's unimaginable that today you are now in exile in Nigeria for being a lawyer, for being an advocate, for speaking out. Did you ever imagine seeing yourself as somebody on exile because of advocacy?
Well, no. Yes, if I may say no, I have never imagined myself, because at the point, being on exile, I was not just a lawyer, I was not just a young lawyer like every other lawyer was. I was a PhD candidate, second year PhD candidate at law. So I thought I had some urge to save my country. Law, practicing law and being a legal luminary is all about speaking the truth and being bold and focused.
Yeah.
It doesn't teach you timidity, but it gives you courage and right to fight for the right and not the right.
Yeah.
When something is right, a lawyer will fight for it without thinking otherwise. So as a lawyer and somebody who was going to teach others in the PhD, after being a doctor, I didn't premeditate. I didn't even expect myself living Cameroon.
You are the
even if
guardians,
I'm not in a hurry.
not even a hurry, and you were the guardian of the law. You were the one to speak for the poor.
For the poor.
You would do things for the general cause that one would expect, and to see you come. I think knowing you casually in around Bamenda when we visit back home, I could see you were a guy who have money. You were riding in a vehicle. You were driving your car. You were living a good life. Someone could say that was a Cameroon dream. And you leaving all the wealth that you have and fleeing into Nigeria because you express your opinion and advocate for the general good. You leaving everything, losing all your life, and now you have to sit in Nigeria here and wait for the struggle to play out. Do you regret leaving everything behind? Do you regret the struggle?
Well, regret. Regret. I really don't think it's a regret, or one would regret. As it would say, philosophy would say, everything is and nothing becomes. Everything is and nothing becomes. What is, what is not, is not. Yes, if destiny hold that I had to be in Nigeria for this particular time frame, then no matter what the cost may be, I had to be. Now, I was doing well in Bamenda. I was flowing well with my boss and many others. And one of those things that actually made me happy was not all about my personality or doing my own thing in my own way. What made me happy sometimes was when I was doing cases for the poor for free, pro bono. And now, abandoning those same people who now relied on you in total for their safety, for their security, for justice to prevail, is my only one and the challenge I have.
Yeah, we have paid a lot of price for this. I myself am also on self-exile because I will not dare to go back and face the hooligans of like Bobby to Cameroon. And a lot of people, I've gone around in Abuja, meet a lot of people and a lot of common law lawyers like you that are not really on the limelight, and a lot of people have forgotten to see the sacrifices that the common law lawyers, the issue have almost vanished. I just want to ask you about the community here, the community in exile. How are you guys coping? Are you guys having any interest from the general Amazonian groups abroad who are trying to reach out to help those who are in exile. I know Nigeria is a very tough place. Do you guys have any attention or any direct assistance from the diaspora in particular?
Well, I would say to a lesser point, I'll say yes. There comes a time you will hear some calls of encouragement. Helping you does not only mean somebody gives you physical something.
Yeah.
Somebody may give a cut across call, just greeting, just encouraging you. And to me that matters a lot because it plays on your psychology. It's like you are not totally wasted. It's like you are not on your own. It's like, okay, fine, others are dying back at home. We didn't premeditate to see many being slaughtered day and night as such. But now that we are here with the impact of the diaspora, helping particularly those who are in refugee camps, you know, when we talk about refugees, there are people who have privileges, which means they don't only stay in the camps. Though they have difficulties, they may be able to do one or two things to meet up.
Yeah.
On my own person, the Southern Command community abroad has not, if I may say, really been of any interest or not to me. I have parents who take care of my day-to-day needs in Abuja.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think just talking about the plight for the refugee population, you didn't just stop your advocacy and your care for the common man just with your exile, but you have been advocating even for a lot of projects that the various movement. Now we have the AG7, that means the 7 Nationalist Movement plus the IG. You have been advocating for certain projects that can really help the refugee population as well as those who are on exile, who are here. Before we used to adopt a lawyer, but we have completely forgotten about the common law lawyers, majority of them who are in Abuja. So would you like to highlight some of those things that the leadership of this struggle now can really do to make sure that the people at least have their well-being taken care of?
Yes, thank you very much. I mean, that's another very wonderful area we have to talk about, because there's no way we can be talking about the refugees in Nigeria without their upkeep. And how long are we going to be pumping in money for refugees who are doing nothing? Now, the population of refugees in Nigeria can be analyzed or can be brought up to about, say, 150,000 Nigerian Southern Cameroonians. Yes, or even up to 200. The analysis from the
UNHCR.
Now, with this population sitting down, doing nothing, what should we do? Because looking just at the population, they already are what we call a human resource.
Yeah.
How can we put them into action? Now, Nigeria has a principle right now, which is trying to ban importations of leather shoes. After being in the field, loving designs and other things, I went into the field, leather designing and shoes, make inquiries on how it can be. I found out that if the IG and other government and other hands right now put together to make sure that Southern Cameroonians are well placed, or as a government, if we can put our hands and put just a few of our money into this sector, we train the boys, the girls on how to do leather shoes. Nigeria constitutes a very large market. We can import home and abroad.
So they can actually have some. I think the Takambungs of Dr. Lee's, even Mangang, and a lot of groups have come up with some initiative to train some people who are vulnerable as well to be able to self-sustain themselves. And I think those are things that we will try to push as well and make the population be aware so that they can look for ways that instead of sending money month by month, they can actually invest in the people so that they can sustain themselves. So I want just to ask you generally, as what started as a strike from the common law lawyers became a general strike, became what Honorable Weber said, a resistance of a type of annexation, which has now been defined by the SCACUF, and it is what it is now. How do you assess the struggle, and what do you think about what is going on now?
Well, in my understanding of the struggle, it started as a strike, a 4-day strike, which was a sitting strike to a month. And in the word of Dr. Sesisiko Ayutabi, he says, the revolution is from God. Yes. You can start something, but you don't know where it may lead you to. Yes. We started it, but God, who knows everything, who knows the end from the beginning, is the one controlling it. We can't really say we premeditated it, but we wanted to push it to this particular end. Yes.
And one thing now is coming. You have it's a situation now where it has escalated into a full-blown conflict, and internally displaced people with the refugee crisis has been declared by the United Nations Security Council as a humanitarian crisis. A lot of people are in the bush, and a lot of people are vulnerable. But in spite of all of these things, the French government of French Cameroon have decided to go along with election and to ignore everything, ignore dialogue, the cause for root cause solving of this issue. How do you make of, what would you want to say to those elites who are back home and they are contemplating or they are participating in the election? That is really like a big blow to people who have been expecting some dialogue or negotiation for people to sit on the table to solve the root cause of these problems. What would you say to those people back home?
Well, there is only one thing I would say. Election in Cameroon is what we call La République du Cameroun. As of now, everybody should understand where we come from. If you have been following the gymnastics of our belonging to that country, we are not Cameroon, but we are Cameroons, which means we are a part of Cameroon. And now, if there's election in the Republic of Cameroon, let the election in the Republic of Cameroon go ahead.
But the Southern Cameroon, I think we have made it clear that that election is not tolerable. It is an insult to our dignity and our struggle, that it will not be tolerated in our territory.
If I am saying that it should go ahead
in French Cameroon,
I mean in the Republic of Cameroon. Yes. Translation of La République du Cameroon, because constitutionally a Southern Cameroonian is not a Cameroonian.
Yes, exactly.
It's not a Cameroonian. If we were to be, we would have been calling it the Federal Republic of Cameroon. At that point, we would have been.
Yes.
Yes. But now, from the point of seceding from that Federal Republic of Cameroon, there was already a divorce that has made us be on our own. It is now as if we are forcing ourselves on somebody who doesn't want us.
Who doesn't want us, exactly.
Yes. A concubine must not always force herself to a man, even to the dying point. Yes.
So, thank you. I want just to highlight some of the issues as well. There is the issue about the sensitivity, and the Nigerian government has been very hostile, and a lot of everybody, I think those who are in exile in Nigeria are no more doing advocacy. I think they are just trying to have their day-to-day life, and they are not very active anymore. So I want to ask you, how do you guys follow the struggle now that with the Naira 12, what is the posture of the refugee community? Are they worried so much about refoulement and forceful repatriation and adoption by the Cameroon government? Because we know the Cameroon government constantly violates the Nigerian territory to come into refugee camps, adopt people, and there have been some suspicious deaths in the refugee camps. Are you guys worried about your security situation in Nigeria?
Well, as an individual, I may say yes and no. Yes. Security is not all about yourself. Security is all about a people. If I am secure and others are not secure, I don't still find myself secure. If I am very insecure and others are very safe, it doesn't mean all of us are. It's a two-way issue, like a two-edged sword. Now, the Naira incident happened to be one of the cutthroat incidents in Nigeria, particularly to Southern Cameroonians. And we say we still bleed a lot from that particular incident. And everybody who stays in Nigeria who stays particularly in Abuja, who stays in Calabar, who stays in Iko, are still very scared because we don't know what tomorrow says about you as a person. As Nigeria is concerned, I don't think Nigeria is a very bad place, but there are a lot of issues concerning this which I think were a lot of technicalities.
Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of technicalities when we talk about the internal security and the adoption of the leaders. There are a lot of technicalities which I think as of now one should still play.
Yeah, I think just to talk to that, I think I've met some few officials here. I've also met Honorable Abdul and some local politicians and stuff like that. And every single one of them, the first thing they will tell you is we want to apologize to all Southern Cameroonians and for what had happened. I think most of them, it's not a popular thing. Nigerians are very hospitable. Nigeria still remains, there is still that scare hanging over the head of people. But so as long as you are doing your private issue here, you are not engaged in any advocacy or in anything, they are very, very conscious about that. Even the refugee population in Ekum, they are taking a lot of measures to reassure the local security that they are just trying to live their life in safety and without this struggle. So, Barrister, if there was something you want to say so that we can conclude, please, you go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for this privilege once more. I just want to tell the Southern Cameroon population out there to be very prayerful. Yes, to be very prayerful. Because after the best lawyer is somebody who is not only advocating for himself or in court, you advocate for the general well-being of everybody. And as it takes, the best thing one should do right now is to face God. As I used to say, maybe like I had some songs I wrote, that when things are so tough on your side, you turn and you see the rock, and then before you see the Red Sea, just like the Israelites. What you have to do is, there's only one thing, turn to the Maker. I know that the only one thing which is going to save Southern Cameroonians as a whole is God. Because as I will always link myself to the word of Ayub Tabi, he says, this revolution is God's ordained revolution and not mine. So that God will come in and take his total control. When we take issues into our hands so much, and we don't trust it back to who, we are just being trustees of what we have, then we still have a Nigeria. But if we have to look up back to God and give him his rightful position and go back to him in prayer, he says he will answer us. He is not deaf. If you read in Isaiah 59 verse 1, you will see he says, I am not deaf that I can't hear you. I am not too weak that I can't answer. But there are some issues that we are into which makes God touchable to what we are. But I want to put it through that God is answering us and God will keep answering us. And I want to highlight again on this issue of the project issue. It's a very technical area. Southern Cameroonians who are in Nigeria, particularly refugees, they constitute a human resource which we should not just let go. Because pumping money to people who will sit, eat day and night without producing is ultimately is nonsense. We should really think.
Yeah.
If we put them through a training of 1 month, 2 months, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you'll find them being able to take care of themselves and even those who are in wishes back home.
Yeah.
Why not constitute even a company here and see that now we'll not pay them exorbitant salaries, but they will want to work because they have to feed.
Yeah,
and at that point in time, the general public, Nigeria as a large market, you have other places being so welcoming, they will actually harness this project. And to me,
it's a very I've heard a lot about it. I've also try to advocate for it because we believe in empowering the refugee population, and there are just the ways that you have brought out. We try to advocate for it so that we don't just pour money, that we can actually invest and make them self-sustainable. So once more, Barrister, thank you very much, and for all the viewers of No Pony Talk Show, we thank you for following. As they said, this struggle is a God-ordained struggle. We are fighting for the right of self-determination, for the people to be able to exercise that right. And we are the right side of the law, we are the right side of God, and we hope that the struggle will be short and the freedom in Southern Cameroon will be long. Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Southern Cameroon.